Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How's it going?
Excellent. So today we just want to get a view of how the residency has gone for you. Just get a little feedback on that. How has it been this year for you?
It's been kind of like enjoying solitude of like seeing what visions I have in the back of my head and finally given time and a place to make those things and have it kind of like be this like internal process, but actually able to get it out rather than just holding in all the ideas. So it's nice to be able to have all these ideas that I've had cooking for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Has the discipline of working been better now in the studio, or the same practice that you had before?
I think it's been a little bit more consistent. Like with the requirement of 20 hours a week, it really added like, okay, I know it's like treating it like a part-time job. Like,
Right.
I mean, it is like the job is the life is being an artist, but really dedicating that time to like, I know about this amount of time at the end of the day, I dedicate myself to this place, let reality kind of sit outside for a little bit, hone in on that time. And it's definitely a little bit different than making work like next to my bed at home,
Right.
where I'm like, oh, a long day, let me make art. And I look at my bed and be like, I want to take a nap. But having a space like this outside of home, outside of work, outside of social circles and family, it's kind of nice where it's kind of felt like my own place temporarily, where it's kind of like for a space for the creative side of my life.
That's what I found when
Right?
I was here. Yeah. It was, I've had the studio in my house constantly for as long as I can remember. And I felt more discipline here and less distraction. That somebody knocking at the door, I have to cut the grass, or it was just you came here and you worked.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like the hours of work here were more fruitful than the hours of work in my studio.
Yeah, I treat it like a job with tasks. What I do at my other job, I'm kind of like, all right, I know what things need to be done by a certain date before an install, where being here, I kind of treat it similar stance, where I'm like, I'll look at the month and be like, all right, what are my goals for this month? What would I like to accomplish? Not just to, check off, I made this many pieces. Like, no. It's like, I had an idea. What can I do within this time frame? And really stick to it rather than being like, oh, one day I'll get to it. Or when I have the space one day. It's really nice to say, okay, you have the space and you have the time. What you going to do with it?
Right.
So it's been really, really cool to see myself get back into that mindset.
That was a good question you brought there. It just happened to me. It's like, what was your... Everybody comes with an idea what they want to do. Mm-hmm. How did that differ from what you thought you were going to do to what you ended up doing?
I think with the proposal, I started off with a couple ideas, and I didn't know which track I was going to go for. And I kind of like was starting off one side of the proposal, and I was like, wasn't feeling it. But then when I got into the other side, all of a sudden it's like I finished what I had said. Oh, I was thinking about doing this and this work. Like I kind of suggested I wanted to work on the puppets and then maybe do another couple bigger pieces, but that was about it. Then once I already finished those, I was like, oh wow, I have a lot more time than I thought.
Right.
So then I started just pumping out like, okay, every month a big painting. Every month I finish this and this work. Every other month I work on book. So I'll kind of set like where some months we'll work on little things, other months I'll focus on big things. But it was nice to have like two sides of like the experimental with working on something I never made before, and then the other side where I'm like, okay, I know how fast I can work on things, or I know how much detail I like to have, or a lack of, to give a little.
So this
mystery.
is you've never worked on this before.
I've made like fabric installations. Like I would dye these giant drop cloth canvases, and I would put lights in them and rocks, and I would have them to be like interactive spaces for like friends and volunteers to like pose in.
Yeah.
And I would use those photographs to help like be the image references for paintings back then. Now that I'm here, now that I've been here, I'm like, instead of making spaces, let me make a character that could be those spaces. So that's what I was thinking with these. These could be characters that fill those spaces rather than having volunteers just kind of pose.
Right.
ambiguously in them. So it's nice to have these characters where now I'm thinking of like creating a whole install. So the characters are done, but I was thinking of like having like even more fabric and other things hanging around them. That way it's a whole experience.
Yeah, love that.
So it's kind of nice to like have that side of where I'm like, oh, I thought I just wanted puppet. I thought I just wanted it to be this one thing. And being here, my ideas started getting bigger, more dangerous, more like, oh, hey, actually you could do this thing too. And I'm like, I'm so excited.
I love that. Yeah, that's and they're like it's like your own little theater, you know. So you can stop painting and sort of like work on something else. So it gives you that freedom to not be. If you feel stuck, you can get out and breathe on something else.
It would be like, I want to watch paint dry. It's boring.
Right.
But I mean, it's kind of nice to just like look at the painting for a bit. But I'm like, I can only look at it for so long until I'm like, all right, you're giving me problems. Let me go. Let me go work on something else. But it would be nice to like try out like doing these things, adding layers, taking away, just seeing what I want to do with it, and use up materials that I've been hanging on to as well.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to like look at all the things that I have already. And instead of it letting it collect dust, I'm like, okay, if I already have this object, what can I do with it? Or can I give it away? And instead of actually started using up all the materials that I've kind of like gathered over time, and actually implement them into something to be part of a series, not just to make, but actually get a vision out.
Right.
And even doing little sketches of like little items and doing little tryouts of things, trial and error, and seeing what materials I really like and what other materials I'm kind of like, doesn't feel right. Cause a lot of people think it's like, oh no, you must use the things that you have. I'm like, I could, but if it doesn't feel right, why force it? So it's kind of nice to have that freedom as well.
I like that. I find that painting, it's like more intellectual. Even though people think maybe it's like more relaxing, there's more, for me as a painter, it's more problem solving of what I'm trying to do all the time.
It's composition.
The composition,
right?
Is this working? So when I find myself working with my hands, I'm not thinking, and I get to actually solve those problems easier because I'm not thinking. The manual work allows me to. I don't know.
Yeah, be like, oh, let me add this layer. I'm like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, that's okay. Let me try something else. And I noticed that too. Something different about the 3D side. It's a lot more like solving problems as you go. With painting, it's like it can be forgiving, but also it can be very restricted. It's like if I know I want this 2D image to look a certain way, I don't want to mess up. We've trained probably from schooling or just the idea of drawing so much that we don't want to mess up certain marks. But at the same time with 3D, it's kind of like, if it looks a little messy, it's fine. Something is it's more, it feels like 3D art could be more forgiving if you have the flow of the objects going together.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like you've put together like a full show during this year.
It feels like it. I haven't made a proposal packet yet. I got a couple of things coming up, but it's really nice to like have this space where I was able to start fresh with the whole idea rather than continuing a series I'd finish and trying to like grab the remnants of ideas from it. Instead, I told myself if I came here, I would start something completely new. Right. So that way, by the time I left, it's like, all right, I have a portfolio of these things. I have the next generation of work that already came out of me rather than trying to hang on to. I like the idea of treating them like narratives, like different books, where it's like this book talked about this. All right, I'm done with the other book. Now this book, I'm kind of still feel like I'm still in it too. Even though I have a portfolio work, I probably have enough to do a show somewhere, but I like that I still have little blurbs of hazy images in the back of my head where I could maybe add a couple more.
Still continue working on this.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you because it feels like the work, it's very different from what I had seen from you before. Do you feel like, but now that you say that you like this different narrative, so you're working, so I was going to ask you, do you think the work changed while you were here, or was it just like a different narrative for you? Because it does seem different than the work that I had seen before. It
is a different book. It is, I feel like what I made before were the people, the characters, they're falling asleep. They're climbing into the sheets of comfortability and getting familiar with the things around them, and they're going to sleep. So a lot of the work looked like there were drawings of people like kind of flowing and just between patterns that were familiar. And so I feel like my earlier work was the people going to sleep. And then what's funny is that I feel like these paintings and these images I've been working on are maybe the dreams that they're having.
Ah, I like
So
that.
maybe it might be a different book, but maybe it's
Right.
the next stage of like, oh, that's like, it's a bit surreal. I call it magical realms,
Do you
but
think they could work together?
I don't know if I would put them in the same space. Maybe if there was ever a retrospective of when I croak, but it would be, it would definitely be something where it's like, okay, maybe the beginning of the show could have like, oh, the people are falling asleep. Then all of a sudden you open up to another room and maybe it has a little bit a darker tone color paint on the walls and maybe more of the spotlighting where you see like maybe the visions that they could possibly be having.
And you did have, it was less colors. This feels a lot more colorful.
Yeah, the other one
The
had
palette
like,
is different.
the palette is, I think the last palette I had would have had 8 colors, roughly. I mean, it was all different types of people, all different walks of life, even, 'cause some of them were meant to be these figures that were like couple friends merged into one being. So I
Right.
kind of did that a little bit where you couldn't tell if it's like, oh, I know I know who that is immediately. It was like, oh, it's meant to be like a merge of friends. But with this, I think I try to keep to like 4 colors, like, you know, primary colors, slapped in a green with it. That way it kind of is a little bit more consistent throughout.
Right.
There are touches of like nice browns and siennas and maybe a touch of like the turquoise. So I wanted to have this series to be more like closer to primary colors, like a little bit less colors. But I say that, and then you look at each one, it looks like I have the whole rainbow. But, which is totally fine too. But I think the last series had like a bit of like colored pencil mixed in, where this one was just charcoal and acrylic paint. And it's kind of nice going back to those roots, because when I was in school, it was like these big charcoal drawings that I would make, and I'd use like paint sticks, and I didn't know how to seal charcoal yet. So
Right.
I taught myself how to like mix or I asked other people how they did, and they just mix like a matte varnish with water spray to kind of like seal the charcoal. So
See the chart, yeah.
instead of making the drawing disappear, because that's what I always was bittersweet with painting is, if you're a painter, yeah, you can cover the drawing, who cares? But for me, I'm like, I like drawing so much. So
Yeah.
I hated that whenever I would go to paint, the drawing would disappear, you know, the impression of what
Yeah.
you first drew. So I treated the charcoal like a paint, like a
yeah.
layer of paint, spraying it, sealing it. So that way when I would paint, I would wash out the color in a jar of water with the acrylic paint, and that way it's almost like a watercolor.
Right.
That way the layers of transparency still had...
You're still having the drawing there.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. And it's as a painter and a colorist, somebody who loves color, I always want to use all the colors in a painting, but it's really hard. So I love that you've done it, because you're making it work.
Yeah, it was a little tricky in the beginning, because I thought like, oh, just make everything really blue, but I'm like, but I like red and green
Right.
and yellow and add it all. But then there was this trick. They said if you wanted a series of work to look the same, I think they call it a mother color, where you would mix like a certain, like if let's say you mix a tinge of white to all your colors on the palette, then you would mix it so that way it looks like they're all talking in the same family.
Gotcha.
So I started doing that with like this really dark brown instead of mixing. Since the charcoal is already black, I added a dark brown to be my darkest color. So whenever there's areas where I wanted to have like a darker section of the paint, I would
Yeah.
just add that brown.
Okay.
And then I would build up to the lighter tints and shades with like a little bit of white. And that was my mother color, was this like beautiful dark brown color that I had.
Love
And
that.
I feel like that was a way to like consistently have the colors kind of be in the
Yeah.
same speaking family
Right.
a little bit here and there. Sometimes I would, like with white, I would kind of just leave it right out of the tube white, but sometimes with a little bit of the yellow and the blue, I would add, the blue would become like this nice navy blue with the brown. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the narrative is definitely like rich. It's a rich tapestry that you're working on. I can't wait to see like all this stuff together.
Yeah, it's been like tricky because in the beginning I didn't hang up the pictures.
Yeah.
But when people come in, they only see like the one piece and maybe these guys. But it's been kind of nice to be like, oh, well, here's the other work that kind of goes together. So I've printed pictures of whenever I've completed something. That way I don't forget that, like, oh, yeah, you've done a lot here.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'll forget, like,
Right, exactly.
like I'll apply to like 100 opportunities, only get a few. But it's kind of nice to like forget when you do something. So I like the idea of like, okay, I'm done with a piece. Let me put it away. Let me, that way light doesn't affect
Yeah.
it and it lasts a lot longer. But definitely having like a photo up. So I'm like, oh yeah.
They come in, yeah.
I worked on that, and that way I can refer to it and be like, okay, am I repeating certain sections of the painting too frequently? Am I repeat, so because it's
Yeah.
good to check yourself if you're like repeating too many things, or are you meant to recreate certain symbols over and over again?
Right, because these are all these personal mythologies that you have. So for me, I love the idea of seeing like this mythological creatures that you created, or costumes, how they sort of like interact. Whether are these be used for performance, or do they become like more statues? I think there's a lot that can happen once they start commingling together.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because because when I proposed like comic puppets, I wasn't sure if I wanted them to be these creatures where like regular people kind of come up and they can like play with them, or did I want it to be half and half, where there is a performance video maybe in the future where I have maybe friends or people kind of like play with them out in the woods and they're playing hide and seek, and I mean that could be a video that kind of goes with the piece, and then maybe the puppets end up becoming sculptures, like staying on their mounts in a space where I create the space with like a table, there'll be characters on the table, and then there's this hanging over tapestry around them, above them, maybe a light coming from the central apex axis area, and that way it's kind of like illuminating, kind of like, hey, come play a table game with us.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Because even these also reminds me also of like festivals.
Very festive,
like, when you're moving them around, so it's like a performance where it becomes like a festival, and then they go back to be sculptures within the space.
That's what I figure. I was like, kind of still figuring out. I'm thinking about like how I want to have these be performed, or maybe like just have somebody walk around with them that way you can see their tendrils flow as you move around with them. But I think if they were to be on display, maybe instead of like throughout the whole show, somebody's always performing in them. Maybe it could be like a workshop or a little session of like, oh, come to this happening, and then you see the creatures not in the install space anymore. You're like, okay, where are they? And then you can kind of see them like moving around somewhere outside. And then when they're done playing, maybe they can go back and then rest on their thing. But it's like a whole choreography. I always enjoy the puppeteering in theater, seeing those festivals. I think there's one in North Carolina where they make their puppets all year round, kind of like Mardi Gras, kind of like there is a culture for puppeteering arts, and I always thought it was like a beautiful thing. We see it in movies. We see kids play with it with their socks. So that history of puppeteering, I always thought it was like quite fascinating. And I was trying to put two passions together when I was making these. I liked the concept of the stars, and then putting like the thing I like with the performance outside. I don't know, just.
I'm a big fan of Kindred and all the black and white drawings of film, so I always love the idea of bringing, since it is a language for us, like adding all the different visual languages to painting. The big question is always like, after this year, all that you've done, now how do you take this forward? How do you see yourself? How is all this work that you've put together?
I think I have like another opportunity in October. It's like a 2-week project residency at the Art Field Studios in South Carolina.
Oh, excellent.
I was thinking of making 3 more of these while I'll be, attending that residency. Then in the first week of October, I have an opening in Pompano Beach with the older work that I've done. But this new series of work, I think in Down Chambers Art Gallery, I think I'm going to put these, the big paintings in that show.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of like what's on the books.
Yeah.
Where I want to go with my studio, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll see if there's like another, maybe where a lot of people in downtown, what I've noticed, they've converted warehouse spaces into studios. So maybe I'll try to collab with like a group of other artists, and we rent out like maybe a space together.
Excellent.
Or finding like a 2-bedroom apartment or something where I can like utilize a garage space or another space. Or I could like, instead of doing a consistent residency all the time, like how I did here, maybe doing it like the project residency where I kind of like apply to one, take a break for a little bit, work on the 9-to-5 job, and then apply to ones that are like a couple weeks here and there, like, month-long residencies, like little pockets of visiting other places and seeing if other places might inspire
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. But it has prepared you with a whole body of work too. That you can sort of like trampoline to other things.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah,
like
I look forward to seeing it. It's coming. It's there.
yeah, we'll see. You know, man. One day
Yeah.
it'll be cool to have a show here at the museum or even
Yeah.
locally. I always have to remind myself, like, even if you apply to so many things, it's good to remember that not everyone's gonna like your work as much as you do. So don't make work for the sake of others.
Right.
Make work for yourself and what you are passionate about, because there are other people who might like your stuff as
Yeah.
well. And those are the opportunities
Yeah.
to really be thankful for.
Art is a moment of sincerity, you know,
Yeah.
that you're having with yourself. Whether somebody else can see it or not, it's
Yeah, it's a genre. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to listen to every single piece of music. They're not going to see every piece of
Exactly.
art. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather it be for the ones who
Yeah.
get it.
exactly. Bravo.